All right, so hey everyone, thank you all for joining us in this Juneteenth celebration. We just wanted to take the time to celebrate everything that we're doing and hear from the people that make up this community, give them a platform to share their voice and their thoughts on everything that's going on, from Black Lives Matter to being a part of Brown Girl RDH to this Juneteenth celebration. So we have a few panelists here, some very special people. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, but before I do that, I really wanted people to understand, and I'm pretty sure if you're watching, you have a kind of an understanding of what Juneteenth is. So what we're celebrating is the freedom of all enslaved people, African American people. And this is special because, you know, it wasn't until 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation that slaves knew that they were free. So when they found that out, they were like, you know what, it's a party over here, we celebrate, and you know, we jumping off the stage, we don't know how to act, but we keeping that energy. We're celebrating the success, we're celebrating the sacrifice, we're celebrating the people who died, you know, for what they believed in. So that's why we're here, that's why we're going hard, that's why this is so powerful and meaningful for us. To be doing it, especially to have this platform and to be one of the only groups that are actually doing something. So without further ado, I want to start introducing our panelists. And I'm going to start with Anika. So tell us about yourself.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Anika Forbes. I am a dental hygienist and a proud board member of Brown Girl RDH. And I am also the department chair for Dental Assisting School. And I am now, well, I have been the organizer of a nonprofit organization called #LunchBag. And that organization primarily feeds the homeless and provides care to homeless and those who are a little bit less fortunate. And we've kind of switched gears, and that's kind of what I'm going to talk about a little bit later on the panel.
Okay, and next we have Kiana of Church.
Hey, so I'm Kiana. I'm a registered dental hygienist here in Atlanta. I've been a dental hygienist for about 4 years. I'm also a proud member on the board of Brown Girl RDH. I help manage the social media pages and help with organizing events. I will be discussing the topic of interracial relationships. I was taught love is love, so that's what I'm going to cover today.
All right, thank you. So next we have Brandon Price.
Good afternoon. My name is Brandon Price. I am the Advocacy and Compliance Officer here at Fayetteville Area Habitat for Humanity. I've been working in the community and for local nonprofits for now more than 10, 12 years. So,
Welcome. Next up, Mitokwa.
Hello, my name is Mitokwa Anderson, and I have been a hygienist for 12 years now, and I'm the owner of Genetics, a dental hygiene supply company, and I am a proud board member of Brown Girl RDH.
Next, we have Kayla.
Hey everyone, happy Juneteenth. I'm Kayla Beasley, and I'm also a board member for Brown Girl RDH. And I have been a hygienist for 10 years now, and I am living in mid-Missouri in Columbia, so home of the Mizzou Tigers. And I'm just really honored to be here with all of you.
Yeah, we've got a lot of 10-year people. All right, next we have Tisha.
Hello, everybody. My name is Tisha Cagle. I'm a registered dental hygienist as well as a public health dental hygiene practitioner. I have also recently finished my courses to become a diversity trainer. Under that, my name would be the Dental Diversity Diva. I'm a little different, but so I am passionate about helping others, letting them know their rights. I'm passionate about diversity, passionate about serving the underserved, and providing access to those who really don't have access to care. So.
Okay, thank you. Zamir Calalay.
Hello, everyone. My name is Zamir Calalay. I am a local fashion designer here in Fayetteville, North Carolina. I have been making clothes for 20 years now, and I do wardrobe styling. Just opened my new location here in Fayetteville off Yaki Road called Zamir Calalay Boutique. And I'm here to some spiritual awareness, some enlightenment to the conversation. I'm not just one trick pony. That's one of my sayings this year. I'm not a one trick pony. I'm here to give you everything, and you're all here to thanks for having me.
Thank you. And yes, I've been tapping out of negative energy and tapping into my inner peace. So nothing fazes me right now. And thank you to Zamir. I love that he's here. I love that we're bringing in this spirituality piece because we need it. And this is part of our culture. This is a part of what we're celebrating. So next we have Maria.
Hi, everyone. I'm Maria Watson. I'm a dental hygienist in Fayetteville, North Carolina. I have been practicing for 11 years, and I am a board member for Brown Girl RDH. I am the director of operations, and I help run the scholarship committee. I will be talking about racism in the education system.
Sure will. All right, so now we're going to get into our subjects. We wanted to first start off with kicking it off with the Black Lives Matter and how we are handling that individually, how we handle it in our personal relationships. So we wanted to start off with Kiana. She's going to talk about interracial relationships and like what she's been going through and what she's been seeing, and just kind of share some feedback with you guys.
Right. So, like I told y'all, when I was younger, I was taught that love is love. Love has no labels. And I was raised in a household where I wasn't pressured to, you know, when I say love has no labels, religion, gender, because I'm a Black lesbian woman in an interracial relationship.
Proud.
So,
she proud.
Proud. So, and so I grew up with the white stepmother figure. I've known her since I was 7, so that's been all my life. That's all I knew. Granted, that was just every summer, but that was the life I lived. That's all I know. I have biracial siblings. My brother and sister are Black and white. And I wasn't taught, you know, to only date inside of my race or to just date boys or anything of that nature. And so, you know, in school, I feel like back in that time, I was being taught, I'm 26, so in school, obviously they weren't really teaching us. I feel like we could collectively say that they weren't teaching us our true history or all of it or anything like that. And they were teaching us that that racism, you know, was history, and that, you know, it wasn't something that was prevalent. But when I'm going out to restaurants with my very diverse looking family, people are looking at us crazy, you know, sitting us in the back. And me and my partner, we experienced some of that same stuff. And so during this time, you know, we have been teaching each other a lot more. It's not something that just pops up overnight. This is something that when you're in an interracial relationship, there's a lot more conversations about race, more, which is a touchy subject. But when you're in a relationship with somebody else, you have to be sensitive to their culture. They have to be sensitive to your culture. You know, being introduced to their family, how their family's going to react. And so for us personally, she was raised around Black culture. She's only dated Black women. So we personally didn't have that issue, but it's definitely something, especially during these times, can be something of a struggle for people that are in interracial relationships. Because I guess it would be a decision that you have to make, you know, if that's the right relationship for you, if their family doesn't accept you. And, you know, there's the older generation that's way less accepting. I've had people, you know, say, I don't have any problem with white people or other races, but I wouldn't marry that race. Or I've had even acquaintances and, you know, people that are friends with other races, with white people that are friends with Black people, or Black people that are friends with white people that are like, if I were to bring the other race home, my grandparents might be looking at me crazy. And so there's definitely different kind of struggles in interracial relationships.
What you said, you know, with all the protests and stuff, like it hit you really hard. It hit a lot of us really hard, but
Definitely.
felt like it took a toll on your relationship. Do you want to share that with us?
So for me, it was just like, you don't understand being Black unless you're Black. So for me, it was just like, I had all these, I've honestly never felt all of these emotions. Like, yes, this is not anything new, but for me, this was prevalent in my face as an adult. Like, I wasn't in college, I wasn't distracted by anything else. It was in my face, and it all hit me like, and so those emotions that I was expressing and everything, it was like, she can be, you know, empathetic, she can be supportive, she can donate, she can sign petitions just like me, but she doesn't know how it feels to be a Black woman in America. And so that was just, like I said, with communication, with any relationships and, you know, with people, but the communication is, it's definitely a different, you know, the conversations are different when you're dating somebody that's a different race of you, and especially with it being Black and white. I don't even know if other like interracial relationships have, you know, the same kind of struggles, just because what's at the forefront is, you know, Black and white, to be quite frank.
Right.
So that's how it was for us.
I have heard that the interracial couples are going through stuff, but the Black women in those relationships that are in a relationship with either white women or white men, they're saying like they're just gonna have to sit here and take it and just sit this one
Pretty
out.
much how it is. Like I've literally been like just like I told y'all, like I felt like I attacked her, but it was like, I mean, and she's still here. Like, you don't really have a choice. I mean, you're with the Black woman, and these are my emotions. That, you know, this is how it came out, and then like the communication might not have been, you know, you know, right on when it came out, but
right. And nobody knows how to respond or how to react or what to say. Kayla, I know you had expressed to us a lot in our group chats, like you don't know, you know, speaking from the white perspective, that you guys don't know what to do or say. And then I made a point, like, we just have to be patient, but y'all just gonna have to listen and, you know, feel the way that you're feeling. It's okay if you're emotional and you don't know what to do and you feel attacked. You're just gonna have to get attacked because we all have to go through this together. Because if you're feeling attacked as a white woman or a white man, think about all the emotions that we are feeling as Black people, seeing our people be murdered, seeing our children be murdered, seeing our men in prison, going through all of these systemic injustices that we continue to go through, knowing that we were slaves, knowing that we're looked at inferior. Like, think about all of that stuff. So that what we're going through, you're just not even touching. You're on the
yeah. Honestly, I've been trying to think about this stuff before today's discussion, and I was talking with my husband about all the craziness with so many white people being angry about Aunt Jemima going away. You know, and I was telling him, like, you know, everyone seems to think that this is ridiculous and it's no big deal and it's just syrup. And I said, but when I try really hard to wrap my mind around what it must be like, I can't. There is no white person equivalent. I can't, you know, and that's the issue. So many white people they not only can't, but they don't try to wrap their minds around it.
You can't put yourself in someone's shoes, so people are saying, like, just try, but how could you? Like, you couldn't possibly. I don't know what it's like to be a man. Brandon and Zamir, I couldn't tell you what it's like to be a man. I couldn't tell you what it's like to stand up and pee. I can't do none of that. So I could imagine it and say, well, maybe, but then just I don't know. So how could you even put yourself in the race of another person? You could not, because you're not having those same experiences, right?
And her biggest concern was just like, I want you to take, you know, I'm here for you, but I want you to take care of you, because like we're saying, they don't know like how it feels like.
Right. So okay, that's a good point. So the next thing we want to talk about is you know, let's talk about the school systems. Let's take it back from when you're a child and when all of these emotions and these patterns, and, you know, you start to figure out who you are, and then the world tells you who you are, and then you're conflicted, and then you're like, okay, should I be the loud girl? Okay, should I wear my hair straight? Okay, do I want to use skin bleaching products? When I was a teenager, I was buying the skin bleaching products, trying to make I did that.
No.
Buying the Ambi soap, like I wanted to be lighter. Like I didn't want to be who I am right now. I didn't want my name to be Martell. I wanted my name to be Veronica. So Maria, let's talk about that.
That's your real white girl name? Is that what you wanted it to be?
My sister's name was Veronica. I was like, why can't I be Veronica? Why I gotta be Martell? Why I gotta be alcohol? You really named me after alcohol, but I love my name right now. I'm just saying.
You actually touched on something that I hadn't even really thought about for a long time. My married name is Watson, but my maiden name was Black. So I was always the darkest girl, or one of the darker girls in school. And back in the 90s, dark skin was not as popping as it is now. So not only was I dark skinned, but my last name was Black. So you can imagine the joke. So I had similar experiences, not wanting to be as dark as I was. But we're past all that now. But
Black is beautiful.
yes, it is. Black is beautiful. We come in many different shades and tones.
That's it, right?
And they are all gorgeous. Absolutely. So I'm going to actually take it a little bit deeper than that, because we do struggle. All of us, I think, struggle when you are young, just trying to come into your own. But outside of those normal teenage things, meaning like what clothes you wear, what color of skin you have, your hair, is so much deeper than that, just going to school from an early age. So Brown versus Board of Education, 1954, it outlawed segregation, but we know that it wasn't just a quick fix. You know, segregation was met with all types of force, and, you know, people did not want to desegregate schools. Even today, some schools are not completely desegregated in 2020. But from preschool, our children, minorities, are more likely to be suspended from school. Most likely, you know, usually brown skin, dark skin kids, you have you're 3 times more likely to be suspended from preschool. Kids as young as age of 10, they are deemed to be, you know, more threatening. They look less innocent from non-minorities from as early as 10 years old. And it's really sad. It doesn't end just in preschool. It follows you from K through 12 and even on to college. You know, once you're in elementary school, Black students and white students can do the same exact thing, but going to the principal office, minorities are 3 times more likely to be suspended for the same offense. So a lot of people just have this idea that it's just, let me just go to school, do well, study hard, get a good education, and I can go get a great job and take care of my family. And for some of us, it is like that, but for a lot of minorities, it is not that simple. They face racism from preschool on throughout. There was a study by the Department of Education in 2014, like I was saying, that Black students are 3 times more likely to be suspended. So you can go to the principal's office for something like talking back. And if you are a minority, you have a 3 times more likely chance of being suspended versus a white student. There was a story in the news last year, Kaya Roll, where a 6-year-old was arrested by a SRO officer and taken in and charged with assault. She wasn't handcuffed because the handcuffs were too big. She was zip tied and taken to the police department at 6 years old without her family because she had a tantrum. How many times have we been in the store and seen a toddler falling out, kicking and flailing, hitting their parents? That should not have happened, especially not in the year 2019. And I cannot imagine if that were my child. But all of those things, it's just gearing and funneling our minority children to the prison system. Somebody have a question?
School to prison pipeline, where
School to prison pipeline. I was just about to say that, yes. Studies have shown, and when I say studies have shown, I'm going to post a link to these studies in the comments after this forum is over. But studies have shown that schools that have more minority students are more likely to have more SRO officers on campus. And when I say SROs, is student resource officers. So, you know, normal day-to-day things that happen in school, minor altercations, instead of letting the school system handle it, they're being referred to law enforcement. So these children, as young as 10, 12, or even 6 years old are being charged with assault going on their record, or is funneled into the juvenile system and then funneled into the prison system, the more often that you're suspended from school, meaning you're missing more days, you're less likely to graduate, less likely to go to college. And you have these things on your record that non-minority students, you know, they're not as likely to get, even for having the same offenses. So, you know, having a cell phone or talking back, Black kids are more likely to be harshly penalized than white students. And it's really a shame. The zero tolerance policies that they put in the school systems, like I said, minor things, they're being met with police officers, and these kids it's just diminishing their chances of actually going to college and getting a good education. And a lot of the students actually have learning disabilities that are not being addressed. Even being a dental, we learn about sleep apnea can cause behavior issues that are just broadly, they just throw the ADHD title on them and over medicate them or not get them treatment, whereas they actually need counseling, they need services, they need things other than just being suspended.
Did we lose her audio?
Yeah, Maria, you're muted.
Let me message her.
Have teachers who are not licensed or inexperienced. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good now.
Someone texted me and said I was muted. Okay. There are inexperienced teachers, even some teachers that are unlicensed teaching at predominantly minority schools. And let's say you do manage to go to school, you get through college. Even as a college graduate, we are twice as likely to be unemployed. I'm sure everybody has heard about the resumes where you send out the identical resume, and if you have a Black sounding name versus a white sounding name, you're 50% less likely to get a call back. And I can't speak for everyone, but just getting a job in dentistry, we don't look like the typical blonde hair, blue eyed dental hygienist. And that's not to say that there's anything wrong with having blonde hair, blue eyes, but you know, some of our members have shared stories in the group where you sound really eager to get us in there to the interview, and once you get there and you show up with all your brown skin, the tone changes, the interview is cut short. We actually had a student who talked about reaching out to shake a white dentist's hand and she pulled her hand back. So it's just, you know, it's a plethora of things that affect us from preschool on, and I like to talk about being the solution. So I actually researched. There are some projects that kind of help reduce racism, where they fight to reduce racism in the education system. Project I Dream of School is one. Also Project Ending the School to Jail House Track. And then the third one is Opportunity to Learn Network. I will post the links in the comments. Please, please, please check them out, donate, be a part of the solution, and you know, just have the conversation. All of this stuff is not gonna go away because I saw something on TV that said like 60% of white Americans believe that we are post-racist. So if 60% of the country of white people believe that we are where we should be as far as racism, we're not going to get anywhere because they're not even aware that there is a problem. So the more that we can be more vocal about racism in the school system, judicial system, whatever it is, we have to educate people just so that they can understand that there is an issue, and if we can all work together, we can all be a part of the solution.
Tisha, did you want to say anything about that, those statistics?
You said Tisha?
Tisha.
Yes. I think Maria brought up a lot of points, and kind of a good segue to things that I wanted to add as far as dentistry and the challenges that we go through as Black hygienists. I think they're more accepting to assistance in a way, but it's challenges just getting out there. So I have a few suggestions about how to inject some diversity into the field. I know we have challenges in school and everything that we face. We paved our way, we earned our dues. When we want to get out here in the workforce and earn our keep, we still face troubles. So ways that we can inject some more diversity so we don't have the problems that we've encountered in the past is, these are all suggestions that you can suggest to your employer if you're tired of being the only one, or if you're a supporter of Brown Girl, you're watching this and you feel like your office could afford to be a little bit more diverse. So a few suggestions are, you can expand your hiring pool by placing ads in non-conventional areas such as churches. You can go to diversity job fairs and post ads. You can ask patients or employees for referrals. Okay, and also when looking over applications, like Maria said, a lot of them are cast aside because they have more ethnic names. Number one, when you're conducting interviews, simply ask someone how they want to be addressed. There's so many questions out here. You shouldn't avoid the questions. You really don't know what gender assignment someone has. You don't know whether, there's a whole lot of unknown, you know what I mean? And being afraid to address that, you can simply ask someone how they want to be addressed. So if you feel like you'll stumble over the name, or the patients will have a hard time with the name, you don't assign them a name, but you ask them their name. You could repeat it until you are fluid with it. And then when patients come in, if they're having a problem with the person's name, they shouldn't refer to this person as the girl, that girl, because we get that a lot. And something that seems innocuous, like that girl, could be very offensive based on our history. Unless you are in violation of child labor laws, you don't have any girls or boys working for you. So you should correct the patient and demand respect for your employees so they feel supported in their work environment. So you have to kind of go against your own personal bias, your own personal fears to get out of this rut that we've been in. We've been so comfortable with the not as offensive racism, okay? But employers should know that they are liable for the work environment that their employees have to work in. So if they allow patients to say, oh, I don't want that Black hygienist, you could be held liable through the Equal Opportunity Employment Commission. If this is not how you're handling it, by just moving that patient to another schedule of, you're feeding this, so the money that you lose from that one patient, think about the production you've now lost from your employee that doesn't feel supported in their work environment, so it's a cost to all of this. And if you end up losing that employee, then you got to go through the hiring process, which also has a cost related to that. So you should also try to support diversity once you get diversity into the office. And I wanted to ask Martell if she would be willing to use a portion of the page to connect our Brown hygienists with positions, and we can just put positions that we know out there and use that as a networking platform to, put out jobs that we know that are posted and they're reputable companies, and we can kind of work with each other to make sure we put each other in, more diverse but safe and comfortable places. So other ways to support diversity would be to have a set number of paid holidays, but allow your employees' culture and their religion to take precedence over the standardized holidays that are set forth, you know, for the majority. So if you have 10 paid holidays, let's say, per year, you could give them the option of which holidays they want to celebrate, like Juneteenth, for example. I would forego the 4th of July. That holiday has nothing to do with me, my culture, my freedom, or anything. So if I wanted to use that holiday and instead use the holiday for Juneteenth, instead of celebrating your culture and your freedom, then allow me to do so. A lot of states allow general supervision for hygienists. So in essence, the office could still be earning money. You could utilize the teledentistry codes and, you know, utilize intraoral pictures and x-rays, still be earning money, and you could be at your Columbus Day parade or wherever, waiting for the, wherever you want to be, celebrating your culture, but don't deny me mine, you know? And that's a way to support the diversity that you get in the office. And it makes sense for, you know, the office in the long run to have, the more diverse your office is, the less, you know, holiday gaps and loss in revenue you'll probably experience. So that you, again, I mentioned taking the time to learn the proper pronunciation and supporting your employees. You can ask your employees if there are any cultural festivals or anything where you can have a table set up, you know, promoting your office, and hopefully get a more diverse clientele or patient base than you would have had otherwise. And then when you get a patient in your chair who may have a language barrier, don't just get straight down to the point. Engage them as though you would engage someone that's English speaking, even if it's through a translator. Take the time to get to know something else about the patient other than what tooth is hurting them, okay? You should still build relationships with these patients, even though they're different than you, or they have a different language that they're speaking. You know, ask them about their day. How long does it take to ask them about their day or their plans for the day? If you would extend that to an English-speaking patient, you should also extend that courtesy and that interest into a non-English speaking patient. And so, you know, it's, and then you have to just check their racism, because again, at the end of the day, you are liable, okay? You would not allow a patient to dictate treatment, their clinical needs based on their personal opinions. So why would you allow them to dictate what practitioner they see based on their personal opinions if you're going to be held responsible for that at the end of the day? So stand up for your employees, because at the end of the day, they are your support for your practice. You know, patients are important, but they're not always right. This is not Burger King. You cannot always have it your way. Okay.
So yeah, that you made a couple of points that I was like, oh yes, yeah, we are definitely working on Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. Now I'm thinking about it, like, no, I'm taking off. I'm calling out sick. Do what you got to do, hire a temp, but not his birthday, not today.
Every year.
That's
I'm like,
but we shouldn't have to use our personal days for that, because our culture is not personal. You understand what I'm saying? Like, this is
sad. This is a great point that you made. This Juneteenth should be a national holiday. You know, all but 3 or 4 states actually celebrate it, and they're pushing for it to be a national holiday. So that's a good thing. But you know what? I'm not going to work on Columbus Day. Why? No.
Look, that ain't my holiday. He ain't got nothing to do with me.
That's my holiday. I don't know who he is. So, oh my goodness. Yeah. So all of that. Yeah. So if your office isn't diverse, say something about it. Look around. Don't just be blind to it. Like, oh, I guess there's no Black people that live in my city. I'm pretty sure they're in your city. I'm pretty sure they're dental hygienists. You guys have to go out to those career fairs You know, these are where, you know, people are going to be looking for jobs. Like Tisha said, post in non-conventional places. And then the patients, when they come in and they call you boy or girl, I had a patient say, "You're not touching me, you're not cleaning my teeth." And I remember it was when I first got out of hygiene school. I shut down and I went to the office manager and I was just like, I couldn't tell her. I could not express to her what just happened to me. And she pretty much said like, "Oh, you just have to be more," she said I didn't have any emotional intelligence. That's pretty much what she said. And to me, that was like, you don't know how it is to feel rejected for you wanting to help someone to be in a public health survey, and they're saying, "You're not touching me." And I knew, because when somebody's being racist, they don't have to say it, you know. When you walk in a room and you're not welcome, you know. You just know. Same thing when I went to the eye doctor and I said I was a dental hygienist, and she's like, "Oh, an assistant." I'm like, "No, a dental hygienist." And she's like, "Oh, you're pretty smart." Like, what do you mean pretty smart for what? A black girl? Like, I know what you meant when you said what you said. So it's like, those are those microaggressions that we talk about. Anika, I'm going to let you go into that because you're like, So I'll let you go ahead and talk about those microaggressions that we deal with every single day. Period.
So I actually I was going to leave that topic alone because if you guys know me, you know I'm hot button for a lot of certain issues. I will briefly touch up on that. And then what I'm actually going to really be talking about is the Black Lives Matter movement, the protests, the rallies, and the riots that are happening and the change that it sparked. But since, you know, Martel gave me the in, y'all know, give me an alley-oop, I'm going to take it. Microaggressions, and I'm not going to define it because we all in this particular room knows what that means, right? And some people aren't aware of it, that they're doing it. An example of a microaggression is what Martel mentioned when someone said, "Oh, you're pretty smart." And in their mind, they said it for a Black girl. Microaggressions are, "Where are you from?" Because my hair is curly. Are you mixed? Because I'm light-skinned. You have to be very mindful of what you say, when you say it, how you say it, and to whom you say it to.
But Black people do it too, because they're for, "What are you mixed with?"
Yes.
Or you talk white.
These are all examples of microaggressions. The way someone speaks because you're not used to hearing someone else of that same tone, nationality, or color speak in that same way. That is a form of microaggression.
Form of racism.
Absolutely. And microaggression is a form of racism. It is not a subtle form. It is a blatant form of racism. People think it's subtle because I'm not outright saying, "Oh, you're pretty for a Black girl," as opposed to, "Oh, you're pretty." It's still racism.
I had a
The fact that you're leaving out that last few sentences, few words, doesn't make it any difference. It's still racism.
What'd you say, Kiana?
I had a patient tell me one time, left a review like on the website that they think that I would feel more comfortable at an office with people of us, pretty much. Like they thought I had an attitude and they thought I would be more comfortable. I'm like, my dog could have died for all you know. You don't know what, like, where did, and that I was like, and that's when I was new. Your story made me think of it because I was fresh out and I was like,
Your feelings were probably hurt. My feelings were hurt. I didn't know.
Yeah, I mean, because I was literally trying to defend myself to the other, like the other hygienist was like, he was also white, so he wouldn't understand being Black, but he was saying it in general terms of patients, you know, just being nitpicky, like you have to have tough skin. And I'm like, this is a little deeper than that, sir. Like,
right, sir. It's like one of my coworkers that said, "All lives matter," and I was like, okay, don't let me catch you in this parking lot.
I have a very distinct statement about all lives matter.
Please.
All is an inclusive adverb. Inclusive. However, all lives cannot matter until Black lives matter because the word all is inclusive. Right now, people who have skin like mine Their lives are not mattering. So all lives cannot matter. That statement is false. And anyone who uses it is not smart. Point, period, blank. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you know your first, second, and third grade English, you know that all is inclusive. That's it.
And what about your, okay, Zamir, did you want to say something? I'm sorry.
I did. Let me chime in for a second. I've been listening for a second. I don't want to like be assertive, so I'm going to say this. I choose to attract only clarity through this conversation, and that we rise above labels and visionary illusions. Because what we're truly talking about is conversation and going within and accepting and allowing. We are choosing to fight something that we do not have to fight anymore. The movement itself is a wave itself that even we started, that we don't even know the propensity of its power, but we are flowing in it like a wave. We're surfing on this wave of the movement, which has been started way before this Black Lives Matter movement. We're talking about before the 60s. This is something that we have been cultivating. We have been adding to momentum, adding rockets of desire. This is what we want to see because we see this and we don't like that. So we want this. That's law of attraction 101, the universal law. We all are abiding by it, whether or not we are aware of it or not. We are still susceptible to the law of attraction where it says attract alike tracks. We are all magnets. We are attracting experiences into our realities because of the things we repeat in our heads, the things that we continue to say in our vibrations, the things that we keep in our auras, the company we keep, the things that we eat, the things that we regurgitate, the things that we receive from people that we do not trust, the things that we receive from people that we believe we trust, and the things that we receive from people that are not even our family, but our true family members. So I feel like when we're talking about people being disrespectful in dental hygienists, people being rude or racism, privilege, white privilege, nationalists, all that, Ku Klux Klan, any of that hatred, microaggressions, I feel like it still has to go from within. You have to go within to figure out who you are. What do I want? What are my beliefs and what do I stand on? Can I be swayed by money? Can I be swayed by weapons? Is there something that I still think I need? Because I have everything I needed more than enough, so I don't really need to be looking for something or fighting for something. All I have to do is just be. And if I just be my magnet, who I am, is going to attract every experience and reality that I need or want into my life. And therefore, I should not blame anyone else in my surroundings around me for my miscreating. So I'm not here, I hope it's not like sound like preaching or anything, but I've been hearing a lot of like, just like a lot of we need this, or they need to learn how to listen, or this and that, and really, excuse my language, but F them.
Right.
Like,
it's not
what horse are we beating that's dead already? Like, it's dead. It's a dead horse. So how about we create a new stable? How about we create a new place for ourselves? And that starts from within, because heaven resides within. God resides within. So if you want change, you hear this all the time, you have to start with change within yourself. That means I'm becoming more accountable for the things that I thought I was okay with in the past, just yesterday, maybe. That means if yesterday Joe Blow or Jackie or Karen said something smart to me that felt a little racist, we're gonna either directly talk to her by raising vibrations and transmuting, not attracting the same energy that she wants or he wants you to attract out of you. It is diverting to a different energy and changing the tune or the station. I don't like watching AMC. I like watching BET. So when someone try to give me, here, take AMC, nah, I'm good. Let me change the channel for you, because that's not the channel I'm looking at right now. I'm sorry. I just can't participate because none of those channels work for me. The language is not for me. So that's neither here. I'm sorry. Let me stop. I'm muting. I'm
yeah,
muting.
So yeah, no, I got you. So, we are not responsible for how they feel. All we're responsible for is saying that we're not going to accept that, and this is why, and moving on. We don't have to sit here and say, this is why, all lives don't matter, blah, 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 blah. You have to be like, that's just, they're going to get there, but you're
Right.
You're responsible for us as people. Anika has been out to how many protests?
Well, I can't count anymore, but I have been protesting for at least 3 weeks now.
Wow. Beautiful.
Yeah. So
Beautiful.
since the June 3rd, maybe around June 3rd. So that's almost 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So that's kind of where I want to shine a light on today's topic. And so there are a platitude of movements that are regarding all types of protests, rallies, getting the word out there, and all these things. Black Lives Matter is actually a confirmed movement that started in 2013 by 3 ladies in response to George Zimmerman being acquitted of Trayvon Martin's murder. Okay? And their whole mission is to just build a community where Black people are no longer targeted for demise. That's it. That's really the whole mantra of it. But like I said, there are multiple organizations that have, been sparked up, especially recently now, in response to George Floyd's death, which happened May 25th. Now, people are asking, why is this so different? Why is this climate so enraged? And this is different to us now because this is where we are. But this movement is very reminiscent to what happened in the 60s. So, everything has ebb and flows. Everything comes back around full circle. The main key difference in our movement now is that it is being televised worldwide via social media. That's what makes this movement a lot different from other movements. And as a result of what's been happening since May 25th, racism has now been considered a public health crisis. There have been multiple states that have now banned chokeholds from police to be used against suspects. Brianna Taylor's death is now being investigated by the FBI. The officers that were a part of Mr. George Floyd's death, the main officer his charges have been upgraded, and the other 3 officers have been now charged.
So talk about Brianna Taylor, because I know some people, hers wasn't as widely known, and I know there's some people watching right now that don't know what we're talking about.
So Brianna Taylor, beautiful Black woman, she was 26 years old. She was an EMT worker. So she was also blue. If you want to call a spade, she was also blue, right? There was a response that occurred where that 2 officers broke into her home. She lived with her mom and thought that there was a suspect somewhere that wasn't, nowhere near the vicinity. And while she was asleep, they murdered her. And I am using the word murdered. I am not using the word killed. I am not using the word accidentally assaulted. I am using the word murdered. They murdered this poor woman in her sleep. What makes her death even that much more sad is that when they called it in as a distress call, as if though someone was suffering. They used the code for someone who's suffering from a heart attack. So that is this clear definition of why police departments worldwide need to restructure. And this is what Black Lives Matter and every single movement that's protesting against systemic racism and racism in general exists. It's for this reason why. We are not saying that police officers are bad and all police officers need to be not defunded, but that we don't longer need to have a police state. We're not saying that. We're saying that you need to look inside of yourself, inside of your department, and start picking every single officer because these people are tasked with saving our lives, with defending us. And if we can't call them for help because they're the bad guys in our eyes, who are we to call? Who are we to call? Yeah.
I'm sorry, they are bringing up charges against the one officer that they also had, he was also accused of 2 sexual assault cases. So they're working on that today. So that is a good, movement in that situation. And they did get rid of the no-knock warrant that they exercised.
That's exactly how they ended up in her house, because it was a no-knock warrant. That's how they ended up in
so
her
they
house.
came in unannounced and shot up the place, essentially. And that's what led to her death. So they did get rid of that. So they're working slowly because her case is from March.
That's exactly what I am, like, that's we're exactly where I'm going. As a result of the past 3 weeks, there have been a lot of state level changes as a result of the past 3 weeks because voices are being heard. But there is so much more that has to be done. So much more. But this is a start. This is a start. And this is how we're going in the right direction. And we can't let this momentum die. Our voices need to be heard. Our voices need to be amplified. And when I mean our voices, I mean every single human being. I don't just mean Black voices, because changes also start in that voting booth. Changes start in your local home by teaching your children what's right and what's wrong, what's good and what's bad. Changes start from grassroots.
So we always talk about voting, right? But my biggest thing is, how are you going to tell someone that just turned 18, you should go get out and vote? They're like, who am I voting for? Like, what is it? When they don't understand, we understand the political system and how politics work, right? You're going to vote, who are you going to vote for? Pick your poison, right? In some of these cases, Brandon actually, he is affiliated with the criminal justice system. He is an attorney, and I'm pretty sure he can speak more on that about what Anika was touching on. How does it work, Brandon? Do you see some of these same injustices? Is there a code? Is there a blue code for officers?
Part of what you see when you start to pull back the layers is that the systemic racism doesn't start in the criminal justice system. That's a piece of it. That's a part of the solution, but that's the fruit of the root. The root is the education that Maria was talking about earlier. And I would like to place a lot of emphasis there because historically speaking, African Americans have always had to live on one part of town, historically speaking, because it was legal for them to discriminate against Black people being able to get home loans. This dates back to the early 1900s, right? So just kind of a brief little overview. And then when it's, somewhere in the 50s in Illinois, where the white guy rents out an apartment to a Black family in an all-white apartment complex, they burn the apartment building down. To the white people do in that community because they don't want them there. And so then when after World War II and all of that happens, and our soldiers come home with the GI Bill that's supposed to allow them to be able to get home loans to be able to take care of their families, that ends up not working out like it's supposed to. So then the government does what they literally do is map out where they're going to send government funds to help families, and they literally draw red lines around the low-income neighborhoods, which are obviously populated by mostly minorities. And so that's where the red lining comes from. So they pour resources into other parts of the community and don't pour as many inside the community where African Americans are living. And then that's where the wealth disparity takes place. So our kids start to go to schools that are not well funded, and it starts in elementary school versus, because kids at their bare minimum, they're equal, right? White kid, Black kid, everything's equal until you send them to school. And so then when you send them to school and they have more resources in school A than they do in school B, it goes to the whole conversation about PWI versus HBCU. It kind of spins into that, fast forward 18 years when these kids are graduating from high school. So when you talk about the racial disparities, by the time they get to the criminal justice system, it's almost too late. I mean, because we talk about voting, and I don't want to dig into it too much because I do want to leave time for questions if somebody has something that they want to comment on. But in my opinion, and just my professional opinion, I think if we educate our kids to understand civics, government, the way that things work, city council, your district attorney, why he's important or she's important, then it becomes more of a conversation of knowing how to hold these people accountable instead of just accepting whatever the status quo is.
I would definitely like to piggyback off of that, what he is saying and what everyone else is saying. It's very important that we are teaching our kids now what is going on. We're waiting too late in order, for our kids to know exactly what's going on as far as about their race, what the world that they're going to be facing, the things that they're being taught in school or the lack thereof. They need to be learning all of that at home. Making sure that they know exactly who they are before they hear the N-word for the first time. We have to build our kids up to face the world that they're going to be living in. We're hoping that there will be changes, but who knows what they're going to be looking at 10 years from now. So we have to make sure that from every single aspect, from the educational system, from teaching them, like he said, Brandon said about voting, finances, that's a big part. We're just now talking about buying Black. This should already be a thing. Economic empowerment is something that's very important in order for us to move forward. So we won't have to count on saying, hey, see me all the time. We are here and we, like this, what we're talking about right now they see us. We need to see ourselves, not only when we're watching, shows, our kids need to be able to see themselves in the classroom, in the healthcare profession as dental hygienists. When we go to these schools, we need to see ourselves in the professors as well, so that we won't be the only ones, getting out of that token Negro syndrome, where we feel like we're fighting for that one spot. So accountability, like Brandon said, and making sure that from the educational system, finances, as well as voting, that our kids know exactly what's going on. It's going to be the big difference in the change going forward.
I do want to add to what you're saying. You brought up something that I forgot to mention earlier, which is that I think the only answer to systemic racism, it's a long plan, but if we make it mandatory for our kids to be police officers and fire department and EMS, and I'm part of a profession that only 5% of the people in the entire profession look like me. We need more Black attorneys. We need more Black people on the other side of that V, not just defending them, but that's bringing the charges. Because if I come from that community and I see a group of young Black men that's being rambunctious on the corner, I know that's not really a thing. It's really no big deal. You know what I mean? But if you don't come from that, then you think, well, what are they up to? Because you're immediately nervous, because if you don't grow up around that, if you don't have any exposure to that, then it does look like something that's scary. And so then, if we don't require if the only thing that they see, especially in low-income neighborhoods, which gets into a completely different conversation, and I don't want to take it there unless you guys want to ask about that. But the coming from low-income neighborhoods, if all you see is the people that's got money is the person that's on the corner, or the girl that's on the corner, or the preacher, then what are your options to grow up to be? What does that look like for you?
Yeah.
Because most of our family, or especially in low-income neighborhoods, they drive nice cars but pull up to low-income housing. Mm-hmm. Where's the wealth? Where's the value when we're teaching our children what actually matters? Because across the street, across the tracks, they already have funds set up from them at early ages, and they teach them about credit, and they teach them about how, the economic disparity. That's where the disparity is. It's not just in the criminal justice system. It's more specifically in the econ of what we consider to be commerce. You guys are African-American dental hygienists. the first time they see a Black dental hygienist shouldn't even be at the dentist. It should be at elementary school where they should be able to look at you and see themselves, not just the light-skinned, pretty, long-hair girl, because that's not all of my girls.
Right.
That's not what my daughter looks like. And so if we expose them, you know, to more of the things that create more opportunities for them, because if you're from the hood, right, you grow up in the ghetto, or you're in the hood or in the low income part of town, then you think the only way that's really out is through athletics or through entertainment, or you become the preacher. And that's where I'm from. So if we create more by exposing them to more opportunities of people that look like us, then it suddenly doesn't become like so far-fetched that, man, I can be a lawyer,
Right.
man, I could be a dentist, I could be a dental hygienist. It's really not that big of a deal, because Susie down the street or Martella right around the corner, she's a dental hygienist. Go talk to her.
She I read something, or someone said it. They said we need to normalize being Black professionals. It shouldn't be like, this is the Black scientist and we all like, whoo. No, there are plenty of them. Like, we need to make that normal. Like, start putting that, you know, start focusing on STEM in those neighborhoods and in those schools. Start going into those communities. Even if I'm not a scientist, I will go and have a science fair project for a kid. I have nothing to do with it, but I'm introducing that to them. So those are things that we can be doing. I'm not an attorney, but I can surely talk to a patient in my chair about, you know, going into law enforcement, you know, finding out what their passion is. I wanted to be a lawyer, and then I was like, oh, I'm scared. I don't want anyone to come after me. So then I was like, okay, I'll do dentistry. But then I was thinking forensic dentistry. Then it's like, you know, we as children, we think we can be anything we want to be. Think about your children. You say, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they tell you, and you're thinking like, baby girl, you can't sing, but I mean, if that's what you want to do. So children, they have no limits, right? Society tells them. So then they're not going to see a lot of brown hygienists. So maybe they're like, okay, maybe I'll change my mind now because I don't see that represented. Or what they do see is something that they're like, no, I don't think I want to do that. I don't want to look like that person or sound like that person, because that's not, they're not relatable. So kids nowadays, they do that a lot. What do they want? Like Brandon said, they want to be entertainers. They want to be the athlete. They want money. They want nice clothes and nice shoes. And that just goes back to things, you know, when Black people started working and they started to industrialize everything, they had to work and spend their money, give it right back to the person they were working for. And it's like paycheck to paycheck, and that's what we're doing now. So that's why you have people, I don't know what you call it, but hood rich, that's what you call it, driving a Mercedes but pulling up to a trailer. It's like, what? Why does that even make sense? And I'm not gonna lie, I was the one when I graduated dental hygiene school, like, I'm about to get this BMW, every year I'm gonna get a new car. Like, that was my mindset. And so I started realizing, like, all I'm doing is working to pay for this car and to pay for this high car insurance. And yeah, I have a mortgage, but am I going on vacation? Am I traveling? I was buying clothes. But it was like everything that I was doing, I wasn't investing in anything. Did I have a retirement? No. All I cared about, this was about 7 years ago, all I cared about was a nice car, a nice house, what I look like. It wasn't even, this is as an adult, but this is what we're conditioned to understand until you have someone to say, it's not all about that. You need to plan for your future. What about your children? And then we start thinking that. And like Matoko said, we need to learn that early on. We should not just be saying, oh, I buy Black, I support Black. These organizations and these companies have been out. It's up to us. It's our responsibility to say, you know what, I'm going to do better. If we change how we are, then things change around us. Your kids will see, okay, my mom buys Black, or your husband, or your friends, or your family, and then it'll start to become, you know, contagious, right?
Some people might think that the whole buy Black thing is racist. Like, why would you only want to buy Black? It's because that we're already behind the 8 ball.
Because I can't.
Like Brandon was saying, with redlining, well, that is because you can, but with redlining and us not being able to own homes and build the same type of wealth, aside from 400 years of slavery, you know, we get through that, we get through 50 years of segregation, and we're still not allowed to buy homes and build wealth, because that's the quickest way to build wealth, is by property and owning your own home, owning your own land, so that you can pass that on from generation to generation. So once it's time for us to go to college, we don't have mom and dad to give us the money. You know, we Black people accumulate more debt just trying to go to school. So that means we're less likely to eat.
She froze.
Forget build wealth. We weren't even educated for 400 years. So I think it's important to invest in the Black community to help each other build that wealth instead of just getting our money and automatically taking it to outside of the Black community. Because other nationalities like Jewish people, Asians, they keep their money in their communities. It cycles through the community 30 times before it leaves. Whereas in the Black community, I think it's like 6 hours. Our money stays in the Black communities and it's already out. It's already to the mall. It's already to Target. We don't keep it in our community.
Kayla, do you find offense to the term like buy Black?
I don't personally, but I mean, this is a good way for me to kind of segue into what I want to talk about. So I'm here as the typical quintessential hygienist. You know, I have the light skin, the light hair, and the blue eyes. And I had help paying for my degree. And I came from a very small in Southwest Missouri, and there was very little diversity there. And I can speak as somebody who came from a place of a lot of ignorance to somebody who is definitely still learning, but kind of, you know, having my eyes opened more and more day by day. Like some of the things I heard you guys say about the state of society right now. Maria mentioned that 60% of the white population believes that we are post-racism right now. And I believe that absolutely is true. You know, I mean, I think that it was Kiana who said that a lot of us are not really taught about it so much in the school systems. It's kind of taught as a part of history and a fixture of the past. And so, you know, for a lot of you, maybe because you are Black, you grow up and you learn different. But if you're a white person and you grow up and you don't live in a place with much diversity, you never learn different. And then you see a lot of white people, there's a struggle. Like for me personally, I feel like it's a fragile state to be trying to help the situation, because back home, you know, my family is still in the community that I grew up in. I moved to Columbia, so yeah, I'm still in Missouri, but I'm in one of the more diverse places in Missouri. And when we moved here, it was the year that all of the race issues kind of came to a head at Mizzou. I don't know if y'all remember that. It was 2015. That was the first time I really had a lot of exposure to this stuff. And it kind of blew my mind. You know, I was working full-time hygiene. My patients would talk to me about racism. The staff from the university would talk to me about their experiences. And it was undeniable for me at that point. And then, you know what? I would go home at Thanksgiving that same year, and do you know what my family would say to me? Those crybabies at Mizzou, they don't even know about racism. That's not even a thing anymore. I'm not kidding you. This is real. This is kind of how it is in a lot of white communities. And then what they see is they see notions like white privilege, and they've believed so firmly in the American dream their whole lives that they're offended at the notion that they had anything handed to them, you know? And all they see is the news where there are riots and there's buildings being burned, and that's their whole perception of Black Lives Matter. And so for me, no, it is absolutely not offensive to hear buy Black, absolutely. But I know that for a lot of my family, it might be. And for a lot of my graduating class, I see the things they post. if I'm tired and exhausted from some of the conversations I'm seeing on my Facebook feed, I know you guys are. You have to be. I mean, I have tried to talk to some people, and I think it's important for white people to do that. And that's kind of something I want to address. So for white people, there is fear of speaking up that comes from a few places. Number one, it's fear of saying something that is dumb or off color, and it's just unwitting, it's ignorance. You know, saying things like, you know, calling you girl. Maybe it just rolled out of the mouth, but either way, it comes off really bad. And it sometimes, I don't know, you don't know what you don't know. And sometimes there's just a fear of saying the wrong thing, being corrected. And then sometimes there's just not even knowing what to say, really. You know, I mean, one of you has already said it. You don't know what it's like to be a Black woman until you're a Black woman. So I will never know. And sometimes it can feel like what can I do? What can I say? And so that can lead to just silence. And then the other fear sometimes can be the really difficult conversations that come up because of things that are expressed. Like, for instance, you know, I've told you some of my background. Well, I come from a police family, and a lot of police officers are very on edge right now, and they feel attacked by the Black Lives Matter movement. They think that it's all anti-police. And so, you know, I'm trying to walk this line of supporting law enforcement while also supporting Black Lives Matter, because I think that both are very important. And it gets very tiring, but I think it's worth it. And I think that's something that's really important to put out there for white people who want to be allies or who want to make a difference. I think that even just having the difficult conversations, even just sharing things on Facebook where you know other people in your community are going to read them and see them, that starts the wheels turning. That at least gets in front of some people who maybe would never think about it otherwise. They would never be challenged. They're never going to move out of their small communities with no diversity. And I think that if they can at least be challenged to see a different perspective, that's the first step towards making some change.
I feel like the second step is also not getting offended. So you can be scared not to say something, but if somebody is trying to correct you and you're defensive about it, then, you know, it like that's it, like it's exhausting, you know what I mean? Like, so I think that's another thing. You know, everybody's not always going to say the right things all the time. Period.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. I've heard some people, some white people, you know, with regards to hearing things like the term white-splaining, or you know, like being corrected for trying to relate and trying to show solidarity, but it falls flat because, like we've already, you know, we discussed, we can't really, there's not a white equivalent. They feel attacked, and I like hearing your perspective on that, that the answer is not to stay silent, it's to allow yourself to be corrected, it's to be humble. You know, I mean, I've heard some white people feel like, well, damned if you do, damned if you don't.
And then it's like, there's another terminology, like white people tears. Like, you feel attacked, but we've been getting attacked for all of our lives. So, I mean, cry me a river, kind of, to a certain extent. Like, if somebody's trying to correct you and tell you, not you, for specifically white people, trying, you know, a Black person trying to explain something to you, you know, you can't be like how your mom said, oh, those crybabies. Like, I feel the exact opposite as a Black woman, you know what I'm saying? Because you try to, I feel like the attack has been on us. We try to tell you how we feel attacked, and we're the crybabies. Like, I don't.
Right.
That's very interesting.
That's part of the issue too. It's like, you know, you can imagine people who don't know any Black people personally, or if they do, it's only one or two, and it's on a very personal level maybe, and they just don't see the issue. They just are never really exposed to overt racism. I think it's really helpful to hear specific stories. Like I can tell you, since being on Brown Girl RDH and hearing some of this very specific stories that a lot of you have faced as Black clinicians, that is eye-opening. I just never would have thought about what that would be like. I've never had to worry about not getting a job because of my race. I've never had to worry about a patient not wanting to see me because I'm white. You know, I've never had to worry about getting paid less because I'm white. And I think those are the sorts of things that a lot of white people live very sheltered from. And I know that it's not your responsibility to pick up a microphone and shout it to all of them so that they hear. But I think that some of them, that's almost what they need. Like I've been called a fool online because I've been told, oh, I know Black people who call you a fool because this is not their experience, what you're talking about. This is not what happens. And that's the thing, like they're allowed to believe that this is not an issue, that we live in a post-racism era, and that your struggles are the same as my struggles. And I think some of them just need almost to be shaken. But it can't all be for me. Like I will do my part. I will try my best. They need to hear it from white people too. But
Hear from white people the most.
I agree.
They've been hearing it from us.
Yeah.
I appreciate your help in. Well, first of all, I think we should, when we can, when we're not emotionally driven, take a more patient approach. I think there's a common bond between hygienists that we trust each other. We trust each other's opinions. We know we have the same level of education, so we don't think that we're some random spouting off, you know. So it's that trust and that common bond between hygienists that can then spread our stories to regions our voices may not reach. Through people like you. And I know that I've given some things that have been spread places that I would never even think of visiting, just in sharing on social media. And I appreciate that because everybody's not going to have the exposure to real life situations or real life Black people. We only make up, 13% of the population. I'm not going everywhere to shout from the rooftops about my pain. So we do need people that care, that have a voice, that people respect. They respect your opinion, and that you're, you know, sharing our experiences, you know, via the connection that we've made.
Yes, and let me just add in there too, that I know that I just told you guys that I've had some exhausting conversations on Facebook trying to just kind of show people some of the realities that maybe they would not see otherwise. When you do that, you also embolden other people to speak up. Because I will tell you, just in the last few days, I have had a handful of people contact me personally and say, hey, thank you for the way you handled that conversation. Thank you for speaking up. You know, that guy is a racist and doesn't know it. Thank you for trying. So, I mean, ask you guys, I think it's important to ask you guys, what do you think? What do you want to hear from white people? What is the best way you can be supported from the white community?
I don't think it's something that we want to hear as much as what we want to see. I don't need to hear anything because you can tell me a sad story, you can tell me a great story. It does nothing until you put action behind it. So action that I want to see. Because there's a popular Instagram page that I'm following called Pull Up for Change, I think it is. And they're showcasing these huge conglomerates. I'm talking about Nike, Apple, Amazon, and they're showing the lack of diversity in their chain. They're talking about 2% are Asians or 15% are Hispanic and then 90% are white. Like they're putting the money where their mouth is by showcasing this is what we actually have. This is what we plan on doing in the next 6 months, 3 months. Show proof. And other people, and a lot of people are like, well, why do I have to show you? Because whatever you did behind the scenes now no longer works. It no longer works behind the scenes. Now you need to put your money where your mouth is. It's kind of like you when you vote for someone, You want them to show you what they're gonna do so you can go, okay, that's the person. You don't want them to tell you. You don't want to do it behind the scenes. In order for me to support you in your business, I need you to know, you need to show me that you believe in Black lives.
One thing, you know how Tisha was saying, like how we need to speak up at work, white people need to speak up at work and say, why aren't there other Black people working here? Why aren't there other Asian people working here? Why is there such a lack of diversity in the office? The minority shouldn't be the only one speaking up about the lack of diversity.
And can I add that we're not asking to have a seat at the table just solely based off of our color. When you add diversity to any company, to anything, if you think about the ideal employee being a white male, that pool shrinks, that pool of talent. Say you have A-class, talent of white males. That can only go so far. Now you're in the B class, now you're in the C class, because you're denying diversity into your company. You're lowering the amount of talent that you have behind your company. So we're just saying, give us a chance, not just give us. We're not asking for an affirmative action type of situation, just like we weren't when we got into school. We earned our way in, but don't just pass us by because you want to stick with the status quo. So if you open your mind, you open your doors, you open all of that, allow the best to rise to the top, to rise to the occasion, and get different perspectives into your critical thinking. And we all approach problems in a different way. We all invent in a different way, So the more diversity you get, the more creativity you have behind your company, So just allow us to showcase our talents, to showcase our background, to showcase our culture, so that we're asking for a fair shot.
And
May I add, I want to add some. I wanted to say one thing. Can y'all hear me well?
Yes.
I listen and I observe and I take in everything that everyone said, and I appreciate everyone's perspective on this. From Brandon to Kiana, everybody gave beautiful things. I wanted to talk about lack of self-value and lack of self-worth, because essentially what everybody has said is the culprit of this is because a lot of people don't believe in themselves. They don't believe that they can do it. And not so much kids who grow up basically saying, oh, I want to be this, and the parent just kind of push them like, yeah, you can do this. More of honing in on the mirror reflection. Why am I even here on earth? These are real questions. No one really asks these questions. I may feel like a little weird, but I ask questions like, what is my purpose here on earth? Like, what is this? Like, we're not asking these real deep questions because we're looking for someone to give us something. We're looking for allowance of something. We're using the power of law of attraction and miscreating. We are wanting someone to allow us to do something when you're looking at someone like me who quit Ross a week before the quarantine happened. I had this unction to quit my 9-to-5 job. So I'm not going to work no more at a 9-to-5 job. This is, again, working for a white company, right? We're talking about working for a white company, doing what I'm told to do, even doing multiple positions in that one position, not getting paid for all the other things that I'm doing within that one position, holding titles and positions that are not even real within the company, just to feel good. You're this, you're the head this. And it's like, okay, is that a real position? Am I getting really paid to be the head of something? Or am I just holding a position to make myself feel good about why I'm here or why I should come here every day? Because I'm the head, but I'm not getting paid to be the head. So I'm going to go ahead and tell myself that I'm the head. I'm going to open my own boutique, open my own store, because I'm not going to wait for somebody to hand it to me anymore. I'm not going to wait for somebody to tell me that I need to go and get this and do this and do this and want X, Y, Z to get something that I already own within myself. I came here with the gifts and talents that I already have. And all I have to do is, in the dimensions of thing is, 1 dimension, think about what I'm doing. 2 dimension, when I get to 2 dimension, I'm taking action on what I'm thinking I'm doing. Then 3rd dimension would be the results of my actions. And then the 4th dimension would be the expansion of my results. And then the 5th dimension, which is where we all are right now collectively, which you believe it or not, we're in the 5th dimension, is the allness. There is no waiting. for years for a law to be passed. It needs to be done now. There is no waiting for justice to be had. It needs to be done now. Like there is no, you even see in death rate, it has sped up so fast that you're becoming more immune to it because it is imperative for us to lose and desensitize ourselves from the physical 3D and raise our consciousness to a fifth dimension, an expansion level, a place where we are not waiting for anyone to give us anything. That in a quarantine, in a coronavirus, I have been making masks for just making masks for companies, both orders, masks, and that has shifted. Now I opened a boutique 2 weeks ago, June 1st, and in the middle of a quarantine. And here I am when I left Raw saying, I don't know how it's gonna happen, but I know this is not what I want. That's one thing I can't stand firm on. I know that this is not the reality I want, so I'm not going to stay in it because it's only going to magnetize more things in my personal, spiritual, emotional, mental, physical life, realities of things that I don't want. So how do I change that? It's the same thing of like attracting. Like, again, if you want to be a millionaire, what do you hear? You surround yourself with millionaires. Okay. So like attracts, like if you are a protester and you out there with a gun or something, like, prime example, my cousin through the quarantine committed suicide. And this is not to make people sad or anything, but he had came to our house, my queen in my house. We could live together, of course. We came to our house and he brought a gun, basically. And we had told him basically that in the law of attraction, if you are carrying something like that, or you have something, an object like that, then you are attracting experiences that will allow you to use it. Like if you purchase a hammer, you're going to use a hammer to nail something in the wall, put something on the wall, or bash somebody in the head. It is the law of attraction of choice. I can choose to use a stick to play with my dog, or I can choose a stick to hit somebody upside the head. I can go to this protest and be peaceful, or I can go to this protest with ill intentions to go and get something for myself because I have lack of self. Because people who are looting and stealing have lack of self-worth and lack of self-value. They don't know who they are, so they don't know what to believe in. They don't know what they want. So what do? They follow a group think. They follow the duckling running around talking about do this, throw that, and they do it. So what we're truly talking about is still an inward talking to yourself. Get in the mirror saying, I have everything I need and more than enough. I am on my right path. I'm taking the path of least resistance. There is nothing in my path or on my way except for myself because I am my only competition. I provide everything for me because I am the provider. I am the lender. You know, I have an entourage. If I don't have it, you have it. If you don't have it, you know someone who has it. We are connected. We are all family. And one thing I also want to say before I stop is Kendrick Lamar brought this up today. Kendrick Lamar is one of my greatest. I love him because he brought in the prophecy that I see for all of us. He said all the stars are coming closer, coming closer. And I remember when that song first came out during the Black Panther movement and all that, when Black Panther, the movie, not that one, but the movie with Wakanda and such. When that all came out, I remember crying so deeply because I remember it's a prophecy. It's saying that we're all coming back together, that we all have to. We have no choice but to family members to come back together. And we're not talking about blood relatives because most of those relatives are not your true family per se. The people that are outside of your blood relatives are more your family, your servants, those that serve you in past lives, your kingdoms. You are kings, you are queens. So you have people that are in this lifetime, they are here to help you. Those people that are always there for you, you don't know why do they always help me? Like, I don't get it. Like, they're here to serve. There are people who are caretakers, caregivers. There's people who are fighters. There's people who are activists. There's people who are political. There's people who like just clean teeth, okay? Like, we are all here for a reason. We all have different agendas, and we all should flow and love each other in that. Like what, who was that? Kayla was saying, as well as being listening and talking and communicating to your attracted race, law of attraction. So if you're white and you see a white person saying something that you don't agree with, instead of being silent on it, like attracts like, let's start a conversation about the truth. I stand on this. What do you stand on? And then why? Why do you feel that way? Like, I want to understand, like, if you go into like any kind of conversation with observative mindset, not a participant, I'm just going to participate and be a pawn. No, I'm going to actually go with questions. Like, I want to know. Like, I want to come out of this conversation with clarity. Like, I want to get something where we all can relate. I wrote on my paper here that we all can relate on something. So I don't want to hear anybody with Confederate flags or all that extra stuff. I can talk to anybody. I have friends from all ethnicities. So I'm a big believer that there is no such thing as division. And when we're calling for diversity, we already have it. Diversity started when we started the quarantine and everybody became like-minded because everybody was stuck at home and everybody was watching the same kind of news, the same kind of information. That's getting on one mind, one accord globally. And then now we're in this racism and things. This is all like a pimple being bust. That's all it is. Like I said before Trump got into office, he is like a daddy shaking a baby shaking syndrome. Well, Kayla said, that is what's actually happening to America and globally, the whole world. It's time to wake up, literally. There is no going back. So here we are. Thank y'all for your time. I'm done. I'm muting.
Sheesh, he was preaching. I love what you said, and we had these conversations about asking that question in whatever dimension you're in. You say, why am I here? What is my purpose? And just going out and figuring it out, and then people are coming to you to help you, and you're like, dang, how did that happen? Or how did this come about? And it's just natural. So it was already written for us. It was already, like Kendrick Lamar said in his song, like, it's already written for us. So all we got to do is action. All we have to do is have action, show up, and it'll fall in line. Because I'll be thinking the same thing. Like, what is it about, 2 days ago, some of you know, I had 7 pallets, almost 2,500 boxes of toothpaste in my driveway that was donated.
25,000.
25,000. Yes, not 100. 25,000.
500.
Individual.
Oh my God. And I was like, they said pallets, and they delivered. Seth Crest donated, an amazing sponsor, and they support BGRDH, and they always have pallets of toothpaste. And I got in my driveway like, oh my goodness, how am I going to get this toothpaste in the garage? Like, I can't move it. I don't have a forklift or whatever. And I was like, all right, kids, my 8-year-old, my 5-year-old, my 13-year-old, we about to go to Home Depot and start working. But amazingly, the neighbors, they just came over and started helping. People were pulling up, driving by, and we got all of those boxes of toothpaste, all those pallets of toothpaste in my garage. And it was the craziest thing ever, and it just happened. So when you were speaking about that, Zamir, I was like, I don't even know where they came from. I've never seen them before. I lived in my house for 7 years, and I had never seen my neighbor. But they came, and they helped, and they got all of those, well, my kids too, all of that toothpaste in the garage before it started raining. And I was just like, that is true. So whatever you're destined to be is going to happen regardless. Because when I pulled up, I was like, oh, well.
But that's law of attraction 101, Martell. Because the universe knew that you was already tired when you saw those boxes. It knew that you was physically already taxed. So therefore, the universe sent you assistance that you would never thought had came. But that's how the universe works. It doesn't come from what you think it is. It's gonna every time you think something's gonna happen one way, the universe is gonna change it because it loves to surprise us. It doesn't want us to know the whole full detail. If that was the case, why are we here? So at the end of the day, that's why those kids came over, random people of all ethnicities. You probably would have had a whole neighborhood if it was more boxes, because that's your energy, because you help people so much and you're giving and you assist and you want to do right by others and you're intentional and you think about your intentions and you accept accountability quickly. Therefore, others can come through that resonate on that same energy and help you because that's what you wanted.
That was crazy.
Before we go, one thing to answer Kayla's question about what white people can do, I think the most important thing is educating yourselves, because you're not taught in high school about the Tulsa massacre. You're not taught the details of the things that we've been going through for hundreds and hundreds of years. Slavery happened, it was bad, but a lot of people, like I said, 60%, and they're projecting it to increase another 20% in the next 10 years, that 80% of white Americans will believe that we're past racism. If you go back and you educate not just slavery, but everything that's happened since slavery or since we got our civil rights, we are still being oppressed either through gerrymandering, where they are swaying the voting districts to benefit. It happens on both sides, but a lot of the time it is swayed to benefit Republicans, where the black vote is completely mitigated because of how they draw the lines illegally. Gerrymandering, just all different types of systemic racism, whether it's the judicial system, the healthcare system. That's a whole nother topic of what minorities have to go through in the healthcare system. We just have all these obstacles that we're constantly battling. And a lot of people, if you think that we're past racism and you don't know, you don't understand why people are so upset. You don't understand why people are rioting in the streets. You should also research all the injustices. If you research injustices or civil rights injustices, murders, you'll find a comprehensive list of Tamir Rice, of Sandra Bland, of all these murders that have gone with no justice. Not just Rodney King and not just Trayvon Martin. There's literally dozens of names over in the recent years where we feel like we are not getting justice. People are being murdered by state-sanctioned cops, and they have qualified immunity where they're just not getting charged for murdering Black people. So for white people who want to help, I would just recommend that you research all of these things so that you can speak about it to your family and friends and be able to list things off just like we're able to. And maybe they'll listen to you because they just delete me when I'm on Facebook. When I get the post and I get deleted. So maybe they'll listen to you. So, that's my recommendation that white people can do. They can educate themselves on things that we've gone through, things that we continue to go through, and spread that to their friends and family.
Matoko, did you want to add to that?
No, that was exactly what I was going to say. We need white voices to speak to white people. We can't do it. We don't live your experiences. Having them on posts saying, hey, a lot of times like they're trying to relate and we're just like, no, that's not it. But maybe that can relate to someone who is white, who may understand talking about, someone dying to an animal or something like that. Maybe they get it. And that's fine. If that's their way of getting it, go ahead. But those voices and those words and those topics need to be said by white people to white people.
Speaking, this is the last thing I'm gonna say because I know we're gonna be wrapping up soon. But for people who are a little concerned about rioting, riot is the language of the unheard. It's just like when you don't listen to your 2-year-old who wants milk, what do?
Tantrum.
They start to throw a tantrum because they're tired. They've been asking, they've been pleading, and you're not listening. So now they result to that. Not everyone is rioting, because like I said, I'm out there every day. Not everybody's rioting. But those people they can't take it anymore, that's what they're doing. I don't condone it, but that is the answer to that question.
Yeah, I really appreciate all of your responses to the white community because I think it's very valuable and something that a lot of people in the white community don't really get this unique opportunity to have this open discussion, and I think that's wonderful. And I just want to throw out there too, like I'm not a special white person or like an especially woke white person. I'm still learning. I'm definitely late to the party. Sorry. I made it here and I'm happy to be here.
You were already plugged in this organization for a reason. This might be your purpose right here. You never know what will come about of it. So
You're fashionably late. It's fine.
Hey, Kayla, I have a question for
anyone else
Kayla.
want to add anything before we end?
I have a question for, sorry.
Yeah.
Kayla, I wanted to ask you a question about the Juneteenth. I know that was like one of the topics of this whole panelist, and I wanted to focus on that when it comes to Caucasian or lighter skinned melanated beings. I don't want to say that you're white. We're going to say that you are a lighter skinned melanated being, okay? Because you're invited to the cookout, right? So we can't dissect that. How do you feel about the holiday Juneteenth becoming a notarized holiday, something that is, something new? It's part of the movement, but as a lighter skinned melanated being, how does that feel? Like for this long, I've been having these holidays, Christmas, Thanksgiving, the same, and now it's Juneteenth. And where did this one come from? Like, Juneteenth, I didn't even know it even existed. Did you know that Juneteenth existed? One?
No, honestly, like it's new to me, and I'm going to embarrass myself for a minute and just tell you all that I first thought that Juneteenth was a part of the LGBTQ movement. Like, I'm not kidding. I first thought that. And yeah, I had never heard of it. I was totally ignorant about it. And I wonder how it's not a nationally recognized holiday yet. I mean, of all the things that we do have as national holidays, I don't understand why this is not one of them.
It will be. It will be.
I think it will be. Yeah, especially now because there's so much push for it. And like Martell, only 3 states don't recognize it. So come on.
Well, yeah, that's why I spoke the way I spoke, because there's a lot of retraction. I'm not going to speak as if it's not here yet or it's coming or on the way. I spoke as if we already have the Juneteenth holiday, because I would say that because I went to the store today, and there was a couple in the store that was going to a cookout for their son's graduation or something, a party. And they was, they had a beer and they certain things. And I was like, oh, y'all going to the cookout? Like, where is it at? And they was like, oh, we going to our son cookout, and they had their little Juneteenth shirts on, and they was like, happy Juneteenth. And we literally in Food Line just kind of talked for like 10 minutes about like Black Power and how much we love this era. And I felt so invigorated by that experience, because that added into my self-value, my self-worth as a Black person, that we are able to speak candidly about our culture. It's all right to talk about us. It's all right to be a little belligerent. It's all right. It's all right. because at the end of the day, I can be professional if I need to be, but when it comes to my own people and our own family, it's like seeing a past relative, like an auntie and uncle, like, hey auntie, hey uncle, like, how you doing? Like, long time no see, but what's the number? What's the new number? What's the new address? Like, we got ribs or something, like, can I bring a pasta? Like, but that's where I feel like we are, like, Kayla's no different from us. Like, if she's willing to accept our culture and we are willing to accept her culture as we have, not by default, then we should all commune together and be able to have the same dialogue in person anywhere. So I feel like that's where we are going. Those who are for us and for this whole movement and for change in totality will be for us and be for the change. Those who want to be hatred or traditional or in the past or industrial mindset, have at it. Let that, like I say, let that bird fly and let that fish swim the other way.
Yes.
It was good. Yes. Let's celebrate this. I know I feel good. I was like, let me put on my little kente, like, I'm feeling real festival. Like, it's a celebration. What we doing after this? But
right.
I just want to thank everybody, all you panelists, for being here. You guys are amazing, wonderful. I got so much value out of everyone. Thank everyone for watching. This is something that we came up with Wednesday.
Yes.
On Wednesday, we were like, we should do something, and then we did it, and everybody came together, and boom. And some people couldn't make it, but they still here today. So I'm just like, thank you. This was supposed to be. I love all of y'all. If people can hate for no reason and not knowing anyone, you can love. You can genuinely love, and I genuinely love everyone.
Oh, love you.
Love you. Yeah.
Right. Thank you. Nice meeting you, Brandon. Any final closing words? You guys want to put your Zamir? Everybody's asking, where can I find Zamir? Social media comments for people.
Well, I have a website, ZamirCalalay.com, but I also, my queen and I, we do crystals and clothes. So my queen, she wraps crystals, like, labradorite crystal, any kind of pendants, necklaces, waist beads, crowns. I do the clothes, fashion, design. Let me see if I can show you.
Bonnets.
They're making our bonnets, everybody.
And oh yeah. Oh no. Let me get to that. Before y'all get on me, don't you start. Okay? Martell, let me talk about Martell and the Brown Girls RDH. Let me just admonish this company. Let me just give nothing but love and respect to this company and Martell and her patient Scott. This lady right here, this is the truth, okay? Now, I don't do this often, but let me go in. Brown Girls RDH has blessed Zamir Calalay's brand so much. Like, from the patients to Maria coming in. I think Maria and Shantae, she called people and they come like, and these are dental hygienists that will come and help. Like they will come and help cut something because it's not about how much I'm gonna get paid or what can I get out of this. It's more about how can we all work together to meet a goal that we all basically look good together. We all build together. We all grow together. So I respect Brown Girls RDH. Like y'all need a fat. I was telling Martell like when y'all. Let's do something. Let's get it done. Like, we're gonna do a fashion show. I'm gonna make a whole.
He invited to the conferences.
Right.
That toothpaste you got, I will make a whole blazer out of that toothpaste. Okay. Play with your boy.
Oh my God.
No, we are not.
You're welcome, Zamir.
We are not making bonnets, right? But we want
Say what?
I said it's not about the bonnets. We're not in business of making bonnets, but we wanted to provide it for you.
No, we're not in the business of making bonnets.
Right.
We're not one-trick ponies, but it's gonna be something else. But we want to start somewhere. I'm appreciative that we started with hair bonnets for natural hair, and even anybody who got locks, anybody who has weave or anything. I respect the bonnet game, I should say, because my queen is a natural hair stylist. Like she's a natural hair person. She loves natural hair. She doesn't like weave or wigs. So she's a person that will love these bonnets. And I feel like for the movement that we are in, where we are building our self-worth and self-value, this is part of one of those things that we have been, I'm not gonna say they have taken it, but misappropriation, appropriation is real. A cap, call it a cap, those kind of things. Say what?
So that's a whole nother, we can have a whole nother topic just on that.
Can we not? I mean, let's not even go down that path, but we're gonna call them hair bonnets, okay? Because they're called bonnets, not caps. Caps. This is a cap. Okay? Let me stop. I'm done.
Love you guys. Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Peace.
Bye. Thank you.
Safe. Bye.
Bye. Thank you, Martell.
Thank you, Marcel.
Thank you, Martell.
Thank you, guys.